smaller denomination coins like dimes and quarters and half dollars will be perfect for this economic collapse. And I think that's what people are doing to prepare for that.
What's up, you guys? It's Ocean here. There's two sides of this coin as we witness it on YouTube. Either people claiming to be experts when they're not, or people clearly letting you know they're not an expert but offering expert opinions. Today's guest is a numismatic expert, and he's one of the best in the world. Recognized as an authority on United States and German coins, he's been involved professionally in numismatics for over 50 years as a collector, dealer, researcher, and writer. He's earned the American Numismatic Association's Heath Literary Award and the Olga and Waite Raymond Awards, the Numismatic Literary Guild's Best Numismatic Investment Book and Best Book of the Year awards, and the President's Award from the American Numismatic Association in recognition of his numerous contributions to numismatics. Get this, in 2021, CoinWorld named him one of the top 10 most influential people in numismatics from 1960 to 2020. He is the creator of the CoinFacts website, now known as PCGS CoinFacts. He served in a myriad of top executive positions at Collectors Universe, including Director of Numismatic Research, President of the Professional Coin Grading Service, and President of PCGS CoinFacts. He currently serves as the proprietor of GermanCoins.com and as chief investigator at the Numismatic Detective Agency. I'm very honored to welcome to Silver Oceans, Mr. Ron Guth.
Ocean's happy to be here. Nice to see you.
Thanks so much for joining me today. It's a real pleasure, and I know my viewers are going to get a lot of great information from you, Ron. There's just so much ground we can cover. You've led at the highest levels in numismatics for most of your life, and I'd like to accomplish laying at least a foundation of understanding of the silver market as you've seen it develop. I know my audience would be very interested in that, and you've been there for critical development, so tell me, how did you first get into stacking silver?
Well, when I first got involved in numismatics was around 1963, 1964. And of course, that was the year, 1964 was the last year that the United States made coins out of 90% silver. So for a collector like me who had limited funds, I was, 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. Basically, I would go to the bank with a few dollars in my pocket and buy a roll of dimes or a roll of half dollars and go through them and pick the silver coins out that were still available in circulation. And back then, if you bought a roll of dimes, a high percentage of them would be silver. I would take those coins that I purchased from the bank and take them to a local coin shop and sell them at a profit. So as a tween, I was already making a significant amount of money just by stacking silver from circulation.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that's interesting. There's still people coin roll hunting today, but it's not as lucrative as I'm sure it once was.
No, the odds of finding a silver coin in a roll nowadays is pretty slim. Usually it's only because someone broke into their dad's collection and, went ahead and spent the money.
Mm-hmm. So would you tell me about the silver market in the early 70s? I mean, what was on your mind seeing spot price triple in just 3 years?
Well, that was a big deal. Obviously, anytime you have a big run in precious metals, it creates a lot of activity in the market. I remember when I first started collecting, you could buy Morgan silver dollars for just a nickel or a dime over face value, just because they were everywhere. They were still being used in Vegas. They were common. But as silver price rose, they became more valuable. And at one point, they broke the $10 barrier, and then mint state examples, became $15, $20. So they turned out to be an extremely popular area of collecting, not only for silver stacking, for the common inexpensive dates, but people started looking for better dates and putting together complete sets of the coins. But obviously, you couldn't find every date in circulation, so you had to go to a coin shop and pay money for the rare dates.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. Would you continue kind of explaining how the market developed from the early 70s through the early 80s and the Hunt brothers and the boom and bust of the silver market? And also, if you would, please let us know what the effect was on the numismatic market.
Sure. I opened my first coin shop in 1977 in Tampa, Florida. And it was typical going. You've got a coin shop and you're trying to build your business. Well, all of a sudden the Hunt brothers started getting involved in trying to corner the silver market, and what that meant was that the silver price rose dramatically as a result. And in order to satisfy the demand, the refiners were looking for coins. I mean, the Hunts were trying to get physical silver. I mean, they were the ultimate silver stackers. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry that had a collection or an accumulation of coins, they would come into the shop. And I mean, we would open up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there would be a line of 50 or 75 people waiting outside to sell their silver. And that would include, sterling flatware sets. I mean, I had churches bringing their chalices in, or ripping off the sterling filigree that was on the outside of their Bibles. I mean, it was just amazing, the stuff that came in. And a lot of it just got crushed and destroyed and melted, which was a big shame because there were some significant pieces that probably should have been preserved, but the price of silver was so high that they were going to get destroyed. I mean, we had, BU Franklins were being melted, high-grade Walkers, if they were just worth more for their bullion value than they were for their collector value. So a lot of coins got destroyed. The rise in silver was phenomenal for the coin business because as bullion dealers, coin dealers were making money hand over fist. And so what coin dealers typically do is they take the profits from their bullion and then they invest it into rare coins. So the rare coin market in 1979 and 1980 was just going crazy. And a lot of that was reflected in like the prices you see for the Garrett coin. The John Work Garrett collection was sold in 1979 and 1980 and 81, actually. And the prices there were just phenomenal because there was a lot of money chasing a few coins. And so prices went crazy. What happened was with the Hunt brothers, the government stepped in and sort of changed the rules of the game. At that time, a silver contract would cost the exact amount of the silver involved. In other words, you couldn't leverage silver any longer with contracts. So that basically shut the Hunts down. They could no longer, continue in their efforts to corner the silver market. And eventually the price collapsed. Well, what that meant was that, all these coin dealers that had these expensive coins, they had to sell them, usually at a loss. And a second effect of it was that in the year following the crash in the price of silver, the market died. I mean, the coin market just stopped on a dime. And coin dealers had a tax bill come due. They had a tax bill for the huge profits they made before, but they had trouble paying that tax bill because all their assets had been reduced in value. The silver went down, the coin values went down, and a lot of guys just went out of business because they just couldn't function anymore. People have a tendency to survive very well in a rising market, but in a declining market, that's a whole different ballgame, and a lot of people can't function in that environment. So the collapse in the silver price had a tremendous effect on the coin market, and it took us several years to recover. It wasn't until 1989 when we had another boom market.
Mm-hmm. Since the COMEX capped the size of silver futures in 1980, preventing another Hunt Brothers situation, what's the new driving force behind a potential future spot price increase? Would it be inflation or US dollar strength or something else?
I think it's a combination of everything. I mean, a lot of people are afraid right now. We have a $31 trillion debt and it's going to go higher. And so, at some point, the country is going to go into a default mode. I mean, it's inevitable. It's historically that's the pattern that happens when we debase our currency. And in America, we have debased our currency through quantitative easing, and now we have inflation. So people are responding to that in different ways, and those who are preparing for an economic collapse or a time when it's difficult to transact business for whatever reason, they're setting aside silver. They're setting aside 90% coins. They're just trying to put their wealth into something that has value, whereas the fiat currency, if it collapses, I mean, it's really not worth the paper it's printed on. Now, those are extreme doom and gloom prospects. And, I've been a sort of a doom and gloomer for many years, and of course, it's never happened. But at some point, the economic model that we have in America becomes unsustainable. We cannot spend the way we spend money and not expect to have to pay for the bill at some point. So I think the silver stackers are smart by putting something aside that has value and that can actually be used in transactions. When, let's say, the dollar did collapse, if you wanted to go buy a loaf of bread or a dozen eggs or whatever you need to survive, you're going to need something that can be used to purchase those items. And the best thing is something that other people recognize, which is money. And everybody knows silver coins are worth way more than their face value. So those will be able to be used to transact business. Now, you can't use a gold bar for small transactions because you can't just snip off a little chunk of gold from the corner of a gold bar. But smaller denomination coins like dimes and quarters and half dollars will be perfect for this economic collapse. And I think that's what people are doing to prepare for that.
Mm-hmm. Ron, if you would, please share what people can find on germancoins.com and what it means to be a numismatic investigator.
Okay, two questions there. On germancoins.com, I started specializing in German coins by accident in 1988. And so I've just become a specialist in that area for the last, few decades. If you go to the site, you can find a variety, actually a very large inventory of both raw and certified German coins. The thing I like about German coins, I like coins in general, but German coins I like because there's a great variety of designs. There are also some interesting date runs of denominations, like 1 marks were made from 1873 to 1916. So it's kind of like the German version of our Barber quarter. They're the same size, same silver content and everything. It makes a really nice collectible run of coins, and there's not too many stoppers in there. I mean, you might have to spend $20,000 for the most valuable key date in that series, but when you compare that to like a US series, even a Barber quarter series, you've got the 01S and the 96S, and they're extremely rare and will cost you more than $20,000. But it's a doable set, and so that's why I like world coins. As far as a numismatic investigator goes, what I do is I research provenance, which is the pedigree or the chain of ownership of a coin. And this is important to collectors who spend a lot of money on the so-called trophy coins that are, 6-figure coins and up. They want to know where the coin came from. They want to know the history of the coin. They want to know the grading history of the coin. Has it gone up in grade over time? They want to know who owned it. It's very neat to attach your name to a famous collector's name like Eliasberg or Norweb or Garrett. When you tack your name on the end of that provenance, it looks pretty neat. So I do a lot of work for that. I do some cataloging help for like Heritage, for instance. They recently have been selling the Harry Bass coins, the Bender family coins, and so I build condition census or rosters of significant examples that they can include in their catalog, so that it helps market the coins, and that sort of information makes them more valuable.
Thank you so much for your time, Ron. I'd like to have you back on soon to talk about rare coins.
I'd love to come on. I'll come on anytime.
Guys, check out Ron Guth. He's created a YouTube channel, and I can't think of any other channel that has a higher quality or quantity of experience in the rare coin market. His channel link is in the video description. Stack white as the ocean.